Elizabeth I, the Virgin Queen, is regarded as one of the greatest monarchs of England. Her 45-year reign earned her the title, the Great. It was not merely the result of chance, but the result of her strong will, intelligence, popularity with the people, and personal character. Her 45-year reign is also considered the Golden Age of England, an era of peace and prosperity. As the last Tudor monarch, she managed to raise Britain to a major world superpower in every respect. Elizabeth is well known for being obsessed with makeup made from white lead and vinegar, which gave her the signature pale look, and an appearance of youth to maintain power. However, applying lead to her face on a daily basis caused major problems, including hair loss and skin deterioration. The lead poisoning may have ended up taking the Queen's life. However, the poison did not cause her death, as we will see in a moment. Elizabeth, the daughter of Henry VIII and his second wife Anne Boleyn, who was executed when Elizabeth was just 2 years old. She was born a princess but declared illegitimate through political machinations. Eventually, upon her half-sister Mary Tudor's death, she took the crown. Elizabeth's accession to the throne was greeted with public jubilation. She assembled a corps of experienced advisors, including William Cecil and Francis Walsingham, but she zealously retained her power to make final decisions. She was very well educated, and had inherited intelligence, determination, and shrewdness from both parents. During her reign, Elizabeth I established Protestantism in England, defeated the Spanish Armada in 1588, maintained peace inside her previously divided country, and created an environment where the arts flourished. Over time she became known as the Virgin Queen, wedded to her kingdom. Elizabeth chose never to marry. If she had chosen a foreign prince, he would have drawn England into foreign policies for his own advantages. Marrying a fellow compatriot could have drawn the Queen into factional infighting. Elizabeth used her marriage prospects as a political tool in foreign and domestic policies. Hence, the Virgin Queen was presented as a selfless woman who sacrificed personal happiness for the good of the nation. During Elizabeth's long reign, the nation also suffered from high prices and severe economic depression during the 1590s. The war against Spain was not very successful after the Armada had been beaten, and together with other campaigns, it was very costly. Despite her tight rein on government expenditure, Elizabeth left large debts to her successor. In the final weeks of her life, the Virgin Queen was reported to have been suffering from bouts of severe depression, probably following the deaths of her principal advisors and several close friends. At the same time, she was battling other painful diseases, including rotting teeth that had led to abscesses in her mouth, pus-filled glands, a swelling hand that meant her coronation ring had to be cut off, as well as the mental health struggles that saw her retreat from public life. The Queen had contracted smallpox in the past, which left her face scarred. As a result, she took to wearing heavy makeup made from white lead and vinegar to cover up the scars on her face. However, applying lead to her face on a daily basis caused major problems, including hair loss and skin deterioration. Additionally, the lead poisoning may have been extremely dangerous to her health, although it didn't cause her death. Another condition that deteriorated her body was the bacterial infection in her mouth that was building up and caused a lot of pain. As a result, the infection made talking and swallowing very difficult for her. This was practically an end-of-life condition. Her body was slowing down and closing down. Although it was a sign that she was dying, it was not the cause. A swelling to her left hand also indicated her heart was not functioning properly. After 45 years on the throne, her coronation ring had to be cut off because of the severity of the swelling, causing two experts to consider if she had developed sepsis because of this. Thin and emaciated by the time she died, the autopsy was carried out based on the symptoms she was displaying, and the autopsy showed that Elizabeth had a fluid buildup in her lungs, and her heart was not pumping effectively. However, Dr. Lockyer had concluded that what had killed Queen Elizabeth I on March 24, 1603, was bronchial infection that later developed into pneumonia due to the Queen's advanced age and weak immune system. Therefore, the actual cause of her death was bronchial pneumonia, without a shadow of a doubt, but the heart failure had an added role. The news of the Queen's death was sadly announced on the streets of London the next morning, and witnesses described the eerie silence of the stunned crowd. For nearly 45 years they had been ruled by Elizabeth, and knew no other way of life. As requested by the Queen, no post-mortem was carried out. Her remains were embalmed and placed in a lead coffin. A few days later, the Queen embarked on her last journey. She was taken by water to Whitehall, where she laid in state for 3 weeks, before being taken to Westminster Abbey. On the 28th of April 1603, the Queen was given a splendid funeral. Her coffin, covered in purple velvet, was drawn by 4 horses draped in black. An effigy of the great Queen, dressed in the robes of state with a crown on her head and a scepter in her hands, lay on the coffin beneath a mighty canopy held by 6 knights. Behind the Queen came her palfrey, led by her master of horse. The chief mourner, the Marchioness of Northampton, led the peeresses of the realm all dressed in black, and behind them came all the important men of the realm, as well as over 200 poor folks. The streets were full of people. All came to pay their last respects to the Queen who had ruled them so wisely, and for so long, as she made her way to her final resting place at Westminster Abbey. When they saw the lifelike effigy of the Queen, they wept bitterly. The grief of the nation was unprecedented, and was a tribute to the remarkable achievements of an extraordinary woman, Queen Elizabeth I.